Hey everybody, this is Amanda Schmidt with Snappy New Day Art, and I'm so glad that you are here. I'm going to be painting this fun little bear, and I can't wait to show you. He was really fun to kind of figure out how I wanted to do him. So pop on, say hello, tell me where you are and who's painting with you, and we'll get started. Okay, so grab your art supplies. I'm using my paint today. I have a kind of a fatter brush, a round brush. I have let's see. I'll show you as I go. I got my towel, my water, per usual. So yeah, let me show you how to draw this cute little guy. So you're gonna get your paper here. All right, and first thing you're gonna do is we're gonna do kind of a W, but it's going to be kind of a shallow W. So let me show you. I'm going to use my pencil. So it's going to come down like a regular W, but I'm not going to go all the way up like I'm not going to go all the way up like I would normally draw or write a W. And then come around and do my other side. Okay, and now I'm going to add his nose, which I kind of come up like I'm doing a V, and then I'm going to add a couple sides. And we have his nose. So I guess that's a pentagon. Yeah, it's like an upside down pentagon. I hope I'm right. It's been a while since I've taught pentagons and stuff. Okay, and then we're going to add his eyes. And so I like to, drawing circles can be tricky. And so what I like to do a lot of times is I will trace the inside of a tape thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I'm going to use the smaller circle and kind of put it at the top of my W and draw my circle. And I'm going to bring it over and do basically the same thing and draw my circle. Okay, so far so good. It's starting to look like a bear already, right? Okay, so now let's go ahead and add his ears and his kind of hair, okay? So I like to come up here and just kind of start adding his fuzzy hair. And then you can come over here and add his ears. You can do his ears like a regular, like upside down U. I like to make them look scruffy because most bears that I've seen are pretty scruffy looking. So here we go. And then we can add the inside of his scruffy ear. Okay. And then I like to come down here and kind of add like where his head comes and meets his body. So I like to do that by just doing a wavy line kind of around his neck. Okay, can you guys see that okay? Now for his eyes, I like to do this. I like to add like a crescent on each side. And then I like to add an inner circle. That'll be his pupil. Okay, and then, oh yeah, and then I forgot, I usually add little eyebrows. Okay, so there he is, drawing wise. Now, I will say, since our bear, I'm using pretty dark colors, and I did do my Sharpie, but I did my Sharpie first. I know last time I said, I don't like to use Sharpie first, but in this case, it's gonna make it a little easier to see your lines because sometimes that paint gets pretty dark. Okay, so let's get painting. Hi Marissa, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Tell me where you're from and if you're painting today and anything else you need to know. Okay, all right, so oh, that's not my brush. So what I'm going, oh yes it is. I lied. I said you need a fat brush, but I am also using kind of a senior brush if you have them. If not, you could totally make do. The round size is kind of the important thing. As long as it's a round brush, you'll be good to go. Okay, so what we're going to do first, so this bear kind of requires a couple of different steps. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is paint the color of his eyes, I guess that's the iris of his eyes, his snout, and his ears. Okay, hi Mary, good to see you. Hi guys. All right, I haven't had, that's like my second sip of coffee. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I haven't had nearly as much coffee as I normally do. Okay, so for his eyes, I like to make his eyes a little bit of like a kind of a golden yellow. You can use whatever color you want. You can give him blue eyes or whatever. I'm gonna come over here and just put in a little bit of yellow. They don't have to be like crazy yellow. Okay. And for his ears, I also use yellow, but you can also make his ears pink in the middle. You can use kind of a lighter brown. It's totally up to you. In this case, you know, I think I'm just going to add, I'm going to use the same shade of yellow. And just really a light mix. You don't want it, I like to make it pretty light. That just means you add way more water than paint, okay? And then if you feel like you want it to be darker, you can always add some more paint, okay? All right, so now we're gonna make his snout look really cool. As you can see, I kind of did a little bit of shading, and here's how I did that. So I'm gonna paint his whole snout here with water. Oh, hi, Debbie. Oh, good. Good to see you guys. Hi, Webbers. Hi, guys. I miss you. Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. All right, so I'm painting his little snout just with water. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, oh, no, not that one. I'm going to take some of this brown. Now, if you have this set, this brown it's kind of a weird brown, I have to say. It's very reddish, which is okay. I actually like browns and aren't like brown, like dirt brown. So I'm going to do a light shade of this brown all over his nose, even on his nose, because we're going to go over that with black again, okay? And then I'm going to grab some, either a black or a gray. This one has quite a few grays. Let me grab this one. Grab a little bit of that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the edges of his snout and leave the middle brown, okay? So we're kind of giving him a little bit of shading. So I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm taking requests still, so make sure if you have any ideas for me, let me know. Because I have my schedule just for next week, and then beyond that, I'm taking, I'm making more. I'm extending my schedule. That's what I'm trying to say. So, all right, so there we go. That is kind of the first step. So here's the deal. You kind of need to let this dry, okay? It's not going to take long. You could just leave it and come back, or you could leave it and start another one, so you kind of have two going on. Or you can grab a hairdryer and blow it dry, which I kind of do that a lot. I don't like to wait. I like to keep going. So I have one that I already started. That is all dry and ready to go for our next step, okay? So our next step, we're going to put the color on the rest of his fur, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my biggest brush I have, and I'm still using a round brush, so whatever brush you have that's biggest, you can use it, and I'm going around all the parts that are going to be his fur. So I'm not putting water here or on his nose or on his other eye or inside his ears. Because we already painted that, we want that to stay for the moment. So I'm taking just my clean water and going all the way around. You want enough water to where it's kind of shimmery, but not so much that you're like saturating the paper, okay? Oh, owls. You know what, Webbers? I thought about owls, so I'll put it on my list. I ran across something. I'm like, oh, that'd be fun. I love owls. They're like my favorite. We can totally do that. In fact, you know what we might do for that? I have a really cool like Zentangle pattern. I don't know if you've done Zentangles, but I like to do those with owls. So, okay. So he's kind of, the paper's a little bit moist. You can kind of see it's a little shimmery. So now, this is what I did. So if you have this paint set, like I said, the brown is a little, it's kind of a different shade of brown. And I didn't want it to use, I was trying to decide between brown or black, but I think it would look best if I mixed the two together. So what I did here was I grabbed some black and then some brown and I mixed the two together. So I made kind of my own shade of brownish black, right? So I'm just going to start putting this all over my bear. And I'm avoiding his eyes because we're going to go back in later and add those. Okay. And I might have to come back in more, and that's okay. So as you can see, it comes out lighter than you think, and that's okay. You very well may need to let this layer dry as well, and then come back to it and add on another layer of the same color, okay? And that's totally fine. That's kind of how watercolor works, okay? Oh, llama. Yeah. Oh, I think next Friday I have llamas. I think. Llamas are so much fun. Yeah, I know. I always have to think about the spelling too, Ella. I'm always like, is it 2 L's or 2 M's or what's happening? But yes, we are doing llamas next week. I think on Friday. So yes, I'm excited about those. Okay, so let's keep going. If you get outside the lines, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But I did want to put as you can see, it's kind of darker. And if you put another layer on, like on mine, it was really hard to see the black Sharpie outline. So I was like, you know what? Let's put the marker on first. Today. All right. Here we go. All right, so, oh, I do have an announcement. So, I am opening up today my 5-day challenge. It's called 15 Minutes of Watercolor 5-Day Challenge. And so what I'll do for the replay, and I'll be posting it as well later on my page, there's a link and you're just going to sign up with your email. It's totally free. And it's basically like a 5-day watercolor challenge where I'll send you a video every day that will take you about 15 minutes. And by the end, you have some really cool pieces, watercolor pieces. So if you want to do that and you're watching, oh, dogs is the good one. Sorry, I got distracted. So if you want to do my 5-day challenge and you're watching, send me a little comment saying I want to do the challenge, and I'll make sure I send you the link. Otherwise, you can keep your eyes open for the link coming up on Snappy New Day. Okay, so it's totally free. It's fun for any age. Like if you are new to watercolor and you're just never sure what to paint, you know, it's a really good way to practice some really cool skills while making something that you like. So like in one project, I teach you how to do kind of leaves, and you work on brush strokes, but it's not just practicing brush strokes. You end up with this really cool like repeated leaf pattern. So I wanted you to be able to kind of practice doing some basic watercolor stuff while creating something that is really that you're really gonna like. So if you want to do that, oh hi Emily, if you want to do that, just send me a little. I want to do the challenge. Yay! Okay, I'll send you the link, and you guys will get an email, and then you're gonna get an email for like one each day for the next 5 days. Okay. All right. So let's see here. So what I'm going to do, so this really needs another layer. So I'm just going to let this like dry for now. And let's go in and work on his eyes and his nose. And we'll let the rest of this dry. Okay. And I may have to sign off before it's totally dry. Or before I can add another layer, but that's okay. You guys will get the idea. Let's see. So I need my smaller brush now because I'm getting into some smaller areas. So let me grab some black for his pupils. So we're just going to fill that in. And I'm also going to fill in this white part. There's Mr. Bear's eyes. All right. Okay, and so now we're going to go down here and work on his nose. my bear looks a little cross-eyed, doesn't he? That's okay. Oh, they're all going to look different. All right, I'm going to put some black on his nose, and I'm going to show you a little trick, okay? So put plenty of paint on his nose, and if we were painting, or I mean if we saw a photograph rather of a bear, we would probably see a little highlight on his nose where like the light would be hitting it. So we're gonna add the highlight to his nose. And the way you do that is I'm going to clean off my brush and dry it off. So it's really not wet at all. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of scrape my brush along the top of his nose and take off some of that paint. See? And then you can kind of keep doing that and blend in the rest. Okay? So yeah, so now you can see oh, we can do flowers. Yes, Aunt Weber's. I'm gonna do, I think flowers, or wait, maybe it wasn't. I will put flowers on my list. I think I had it on my schedule for next week, but then I switched stuff around. But I have it on my list, okay? So there you go. So we have a little highlight on his nose. If you didn't want to do that, you could always go back in with a white crayon and add highlights that way, okay? So here's the deal. So this is, I think this is where I'm going to leave you. Now, if you're at this point, you're probably going, well, he's not very dark there yet. And that's okay. Because watercolor will dry much, much lighter as it dries. So you're not doing anything wrong. That's just how it is. That's why it's important to have real watercolor paper. Because the paper can kind of take the layers a little bit more, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry. I encourage you guys to let this dry and go back in with another layer of the brownish black that we did. And you can either go in with just brown and layer it on that way, or just black, or you can mix the two, like I showed you before, okay? So it's a kind of a fun way to play around with with colors, because, you know, with bears, you know, usually we think, oh, they're black or whatever, but there's actually a lot of color in something that's black. There's actually a lot more color in there than you realize. It's usually never just black. Usually, excuse me, I know this is gonna run it. Usually there is, or often there is like a blue even. I learned that one time when I think I was in college, and I had highlights in my hair, and then I wanted to dye my hair black. I don't know why. I wanted to dye my hair black, and the highlight, like after I washed it once, the highlight of my hair that was like blonde turned blue, and the rest of my hair was black. And I was like, okay. This is a look. But I was like, oh, there must be a blue-based, hi Melanie, a blue-based black. So it's kind of funny. So yeah, there's a lot of colors that go into things that you think are, oh, it's just black or it's just white. So it's kind of a fun, watercolor kind of forces you to kind of look and see like what colors are actually in there. So yeah. So actually, let's do this. One thing I did want to show you, this is fairly dry. So you can totally do another layer. Speaking of highlights, one thing I did want to show you was what I did on my berry, and you might not be able to see it very well, but I added some, I just used some crayon. You can totally color over watercolor with crayon, and I added kind of some blue to his fur to kind of give it a highlight. So you can add it wherever you want. Like I said, there's a lot of blue and black a lot of times. Okay. And like I said, you probably would want him to be a little bit darker, but it's a little hard to see. But I promise when you do it on your own at home, you'll be able to see it. Okay. So you can always color over with crayon on your work. If you want to make highlights, you could totally take a white, like for instance, might be a little bit wet, but you can take a white crayon and give him a little highlight on his eyeball. It's a little hard to see, but you guys can see it's a little, my paper's a little wet, so the crayon's not popping out too much. But you can totally put white back onto your paper after it's dry with crayon. You can also use color pencil or even watercolor pencil, okay? Or you could even go back in with some acrylic paint or like watered down acrylic paint if you wanted to. There's, in my opinion, there's no wrong way to add highlights. There are some like hardcore staunch like watercolor people that kind of poo-poo when you add a highlight. They say that you're supposed to keep the highlights, you know, but you know what? Who's got time for that? I like to add stuff on top, and then it's considered mixed media. So there you go. All right, so I went on a tangent, but I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Your little bears are going to be so cute. So be sure to post your pictures. I would love to share. People love to see them. So share your pictures with me, and then if you want in on the 5-day 15 minutes of watercolor challenge, just let me know. I'll take a peek at all you guys that said you wanted to. I'll send you the link. And yeah, I can't wait to share that with you. So I'll see you guys later. Have a snappy new day. I'll see you on Monday. I can't remember what I said we were painting, but we're painting something on Monday. So keep your eyes open for that. And I'll see you later. Bye.